all those things, the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, 80s, and 90s, those really, really changed the nature of leadership. And basically what happened, bottom line is, the best managers who became the leaders were no longer qualified to be leaders. You see, because managers are good at planning, organizing, budgeting, deciding. That's what managers do. And as I mentioned, the good ones do things correctly. Their work is done on time and on budget. But that was not necessary for leaders in the 21st century. Leaders had to stop motivating and start inspiring, because if no one follows you, you are not a leader, right? By definition, followers make a leader. And so followership became a very big characteristics of leaders. Who wants to follow whom? Okay, I'm going to follow the person that I believe in. Okay, I'm going to follow the person who inspires me. I'm going to follow the person who empowers me, who meets my needs. Okay, and so what you found is a lot of positive reinforcement being done by leaders. You found a lot of nurturing, a lot of modeling of a certain type of behavior, a certain ability to help people meet their own needs, because, see, people were very different, okay? If you had a dual income couple with working moms, well, you now had to help your best employees balance their work and professional lives, right? Well, what did that mean? Well, that means there are going to be some days when a parent wants to be at the soccer game or the recital. That means when someone's going to get a frantic call from the school that their child is sick. And so what you found is much more enabling as a servant than you did kind of ordering around as a boss. So what were some of the skills that were more necessary for leaders in the 21st century? Well, again, that emotional intelligence, more of a spiritual focus, okay? We are focusing on your heart and soul more than your body and mind. What is enabling me to feel good? What is enabling me to have faith in what I'm doing, okay? So in some ways, leaders have become part minister and part psychologist, because their job is to make people feel good so their people can do the job. Prior to the 21st century, most of things were about competition. We've got to beat this other company. We've got to beat this other guy. And now it was more about collaboration and cooperation. We've got to work together as a team. No one person can do it by themselves. So how can I get the team to work together? We've seen this in sports, where the underdog team puts in a certain amount of effort and beats a much more talented team in the big game, okay? We talk about that inspirational locker room talk that the coach gave, to get their people to believe and have the faith and the trust and the confidence to beat the big bad team. That's exactly what was required in the workplace. Communication, again, being able to write well, being able to speak well, being able to relate, okay? You don't just relate to people who are like you. You've got to relate to people who are different than you, different ages, different religions, different genders. And it's not just different, Protestant religions. Diversity in the 1950s meant Presbyterian, Lutheran, Episcopalian, Baptist. Now you got one Hindu, you got one Buddhist, you got one Arab, you got one Muslim, you got one Catholic. So, it takes a lot more ability to relate to all those different types of people. It isn't just relating to Hispanics. You have a Mexican Hispanic, a Puerto Rican Hispanic, a Cuban Hispanic, a Spain Hispanic, okay? There's a lot of diversity. You could say the same thing about the Asians. the Koreans are not the same as the Japanese. The Japanese are not the same as the Taiwanese. The Taiwanese are not the same as the Vietnamese or the Chinese. And so as we got into that complicated world, it became much more difficult to work with a diverse team and get the same kind of results that was wanted, okay? Your main job was to create a vision. A leader creates a vision for the future which doesn't exist. And of course, that's much harder to see the future in your mind's eye than it is something tangible. So as you were creating a vision, and again, this could be for your family, for your church, for your club, for your team. You don't have to be president of the United States to have a vision. You can have a vision for your kids going to college, and you have to, figure out how that happens. The missions were more left to the managers. Okay, they were the ones who interpreted the vision into some sort of mission. Okay, power became a really different subject. Power is oftentimes associated with someone brutally bullying other people, right? I have the power for you to live or die. I have the power to hire or fire. I would have to say that one of the big changes in the 21st century is that power was used very gently and very discriminately. You really don't get anywhere by trying to force people to do something. If a big person beats up a little person, I don't think any of us really admire that, right? You would expect that to happen. But if a big person, bends over to help a littler person, reach something in the supermarket, that is something that we maybe kind of admire a little bit more. Again, it's a little bit kinder and gentler use of power as opposed to force. Ethics and morality became very important. It's not only what you did, but how you did it. The media and there's cameras and there's microphones everywhere. So people are always watching how you conduct yourself. And so how you did things were important. And if you were to cheat or if you were to steal, you were to get caught, and your career would be kind of ruined. As I said, there was a need, much more of a need for a team culture, and leadership was much more creating feelings and attitudes in people. I can remember a story that kind of shown the difference between the kind of inspiration you could create. There's this guy walking, in France during the 1600s, there's this guy walking into a town, and he sees one guy on one corner chiseling away at some marble, and he sees another guy chiseling away at marble. So he goes to the first guy, and he says, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" "Oh, man, this sucks. I'm just chiseling on this stone all day. I got this wooden hammer that's not very strong. I got this dull chisel. It's taken me all day to square up this piece of marble." And then he goes to the other guy who's doing the exact same thing, and he says, "Well, what are you doing?" And he says, "Oh, man, I'm building God's house." And so the same actual thing can mean totally different things to different people, and that's really kind of a summary of what leadership has become in the 21st century. Can you make your people feel like they are doing the equivalent of God's work? Things that are meaningful and valuable, and people choose to do it freely. Well, thanks very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what you heard, please give us a like. If you'd like to see more of these sessions, please subscribe. And if you would like to see the full video, just click on this link right here.